Welcome to RPG Highlights. Today's highlights will feature one of those central figures from the latest installment of the Final Fantasy series, the Dominants. In Final Fantasy XVI, Dominants are people born with the ability to host icons inside of themselves. Icons are the most powerful and deadly creatures in Valisthea, similar to summoned entities in previous Final Fantasy games. Dominants can call upon their icon's power and summon the being into the material world. When summoned, icons usually turn the tide of battle and can demolish entire armies when called upon. This is an essential point in the story of Final Fantasy XVI. Most nations revere dominants, but the Iron Kingdom citizens view dominants as unholy abominations who are to be put to death if discovered on their land. Throughout the course of the game, 8 dominants along with their respective icons are revealed. Clive Rosfield of the Grand Duchy of Rosaria is the dominant of Ifrit, a mysterious dark icon and the second icon of fire. Clive is the main protagonist of Final Fantasy XVI and the elder son of Rosaria's Archduke. Tragic events involving the dark icon Ifrit led to Clive embarking on a quest for revenge. Ifrit is considered an impossible existence due to also holding the power of fire. Joshua Rosfield is the dominant of the Phoenix, the Warden of Fire. He is also from the Grand Duchy of Rosaria. He is the second son of the Archduke of Rosaria and Clive's younger brother by 5 years. Despite being the younger child, Joshua inherited the power of the icon of fire, Phoenix, and serves as its dominant, with the ability to assume the icon's form. Although Joshua was a dominant, he was sickly all his life. Throughout his childhood, he grew up alongside Clive and Jill Warwick, another dominant, whom he loved like a sister. Joshua's reluctant burden of the Phoenix becomes the least of his worries when he becomes involved in a tragic event that set Clive on a path for vengeance. The trauma and the fear during the incident caused Joshua's dominant powers to go out of control, and he fully transformed into the Phoenix and set the castle ablaze. In the morning after, many believed that Joshua had died. Jill Warwick is the dominant of Shiva, Warden of Ice. Born in the fallen Northern Territories, Jill was taken from her homeland at a tender age to become a ward of Rosaria. The Archduke insisted that she be raised alongside his sons, and she became as much a part of the Rosfield household as Clive and Joshua. Much like Clive, Jill bears a great deal of empathy and compassion for the oppressed and persecuted, the bearers most of all. She displays disgust at how the nations of the world treat the bearers as either tools to use until they are broken or as disposable property to abuse. As such, Jill believes in the ideal Cid began, of a world where the bearers can live free and as equals. With control over Shiva, the Warden of Ice, she displays complete mastery over ice elemental powers. Jill uses these powers for her ideals and soldiers on with Clive on fighting for a better world. Sidolphus Telemann is the dominant of Ramuh, Warden of Thunder. Known to his friends as Sid, this soldier-turned-outlaw strives to build a place where persecuted bearers and exploited dominants can die on their own terms. A man of science, he also conducts research into how one might live in the Deadlands, as he and his band of fellow heretics must. Sid is also a dominant, the power of the icon Ramuh having awoken within him shortly after he landed on Valisthean shores. As the dominant of Ramuh, he wields lightning powers proficiently. He is first seen using his powers to save Clive and Jill from enemy soldiers. Calm and collected, Sid's power would see him rise through the ranks where he crossed paths with another dominant. Sid is a recurring name in the Final Fantasy series, appearing in almost every game. Typically but not always belonging to an inventor-minded archetype character or one related to airships in some manner. He is one of the several Sids to have a relative named Mid, in this case, his daughter. He is also one of the few Sids to serve as a party member. Benedicta Harmon of the Kingdom of Waloed is the dominant of Garuda, Warden of Wind. Having emerged from the storm of youth, cold-hearted and ruthless, Benedicta, dominant of the icon Garuda, turned her talent for swordplay and subterfuge into a command of Waloed's elite intelligencers. As the dominant of Garuda, Benedicta shows mastery over wind spells and attacks. She can be seen easily transforming parts of herself to parts of Garuda in order to deal more powerful and deadly attacks. She is an intelligencer from the militarily advanced nation of Walud and shows no mercy for enemies of her kingdom. On a mission to find the elusive second icon of fire, that she crosses paths with a like-minded Clive and is forced to face her past. Hugo Kupka of the Dalmekian Republic is the dominant of Titan, the Warden of Earth. Once a nameless foot soldier in the Republican army, his awakening as dominant of the icon Titan thrust him to the forefront of Dalmekian politics. It was here he used his newfound position as the most powerful man in the Republic to exert influence over both the nation's armies and its policy-making, amassing a personal fortune in the process. One main quality that sets Hugo apart from the other dominants is his love for Benedicta. While he serves as Titan's dominant and the Dalmekian economic advisor, he wants nothing more than to rule the world with Benedicta at his side. As the dominant of Titan, Hugo wields incredible powers and strength based from the earth. He is seen as a massive icon, often larger than icons of other nations. As such, he sees himself as the king of the world and looks down on everyone. He is a ruthless man who has no qualms about crushing the dreams of others to pursue his own. Dion the Sage of the Holy Empire of Senbrek is the dominant of Bahamut, Warden of Light. Crown Prince of the Holy Empire of Senbrek and leader of its noblest and most feared order of knights, the Dragoons, Dion is loved and respected by both his people and his troops. In a similar vein to Clive, Dion is honorable, humble, kind, courageous, and idealistic. His humility and legendary skills in battle made him a beloved figure in the Empire, quickly earning the loyalty and respect of the Imperial soldiers, which Dion does not abuse or exploit. As the dominant of Bahamut, Dion has often been called upon in the Empire's wars. His powers include transforming into his icon form, having complete mastery over light. Bahamut usually attacks through beams and flares. He is first seen taking the field against Odin. Barnabas Tharmer of Walud is the dominant of Odin, Warden of Darkness. Arriving on the shores of Ash as a landless and titleless wanderer, it was Barnabas' skill with the blade that won him kingdom, and though the local beastmen were to rise in revolt against his rule, Barnabas called on the power of his icon, Odin, to quell the rebellions almost single-handedly, bringing the entirety of the eastern continent under his banner. His character is the embodiment of the Dark Knight archetype from the previous installments. As the dominant of Odin, Barnabas is incredibly powerful. He can transform parts of himself into Odin, usually cloaking himself in armor into battle. His swordsmanship is of high level and can be seen almost toying with his opponents. Whenever he fully transforms to his icon, he can cleave almost anything with his black blade. His power is so strong that not even the Phoenix's shield can completely defend against it. This wraps up today's RPG highlights. Have you played Final Fantasy XVI yet? Who was your favorite dominant and icon? Go ahead and tell us in the comments.